Hey everybody, welcome to Valentine TV. Um, y'all, Brendan is back. The drug mule did it. Rug mule. Excuse me, YouTube. Rug mule. He is back, y'all, and we'll be talking tonight from TISA Tales recap for the court today. I know I did Ticket TV, yeah, about the juror. This is about Brandon being back and other stuff also. Um, so you can find TISA, all over. But this is coming from YouTube. As you come in, y'all, please hit that subscribe button. We're at what 866, 866. Y'all, thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna let TISA go ahead and get us started. You know what I mean? And then we'll talk, okay? Because TISA got some words, and then just FYI, one of my ring lights may go out, okay? All right, just letting you know. Here we go, y'all. Here we go.
Extended the court for an extra hour. Now, a couple of things happened. You guys know what happened about juror number 6. The judge said that no, he was untruthful. There were omissions. You cannot have that in a court of law. However, as I'm sure you've heard, okay, and I got a lot of notes. Xavier Donaldson, I believe, stood up and made an impassioned plea about the way the Southern District of New York, it's the Bronx, all the juries are usually all white. We cannot just exclude and let jurors go without giving him a chance to explain. He thought he should have been brought in, juror number 6, and explain. Because if juror number 6 goes, right, you have to look at the jurors. I thought they just pick one randomly, but a person moves over one, right? And if you move over one, that means he will be replaced by an older white gentleman. Xavier Donaldson said we need to look at the optics, okay? But you guys, I said, so here's the thing. The judge kicked everybody out the chambers. It was so dramatic. Yeah. I waited. They started talking about the evidentiary chart, the summaries, all this like legal paperwork. And I stayed there for an extra hour. Why? Because I got some tea. Y'all, remember when we told you guys that Brendan Paul had flipped on Diddy and everybody was like, TISA, what are you talking about? TISA, what are you talking about? Do you not know that he just got, it was his first offense, so he got a rehab disposition program? And I said, I don't care what y'all say. I know what a flip looks like when I see one. Well, guess what? So does the federal government. Brendan called Paul. I was in the courtroom. I stayed an extra hour. He is confirmed to have flipped on Diddy, and he is testifying on behalf of the prosecution. And Nak, what's up? How y'all doing?
Wow. Y'all, I'm thinking Brendan Paul, he did whatever he did, told whatever he had to tell, and signed it, and he at home with mommy and daddy. But Brendan is back. They probably put him somewhere, because y'all remember when Diddy was talking to him in that alleyway and that car rode by and with that camera on. I believe that was, I ain't gonna say. Well, yes I can. I believe that was during the TMZ. Because y'all know TMZ been going hard for Diddy. For some reason, I guess so they can keep having something to write about. I don't know. Because TMZ, hey, no. But anyway, Brendan Paul is back, y'all, and he didn't flip. And then, and he's coming in. I wrote it down this time as Diddy's darn assistant. He's coming in as Diddy's assistant, y'all. And then KK, co-conspirator. That's what she gonna be. And Brendan is gonna testify Monday. Brendan then flipped the script. Oh. All right, here we go, y'all.
Today, listen. Yeah, listen, I was writing my notes down. I was doing everything. I just left the courthouse and had to run here. We stayed so close. The courthouse closes at 6 and you got to get off their property. That's why I had to run home because they were like, yeah, you can't go live on the property. I heard it with my own ears. Brendan Paul, Diddy's rug mule, is confirmed. I repeat, confirmed
Mm,
to be a surprise witness. And he is testifying next week. I have the exact date, right? Potent Pondering said the pink eyeshadow is TASF. Y'all like it? Half the makeup wore off. I'm trying to do what I can. Shout out to Marie. Also, just a little bit for you guys. Don't forget, you guys can catch me on Nancy Grace. If you want to have a town hall, I'm going live on Spoutable
yeah,
at exactly 7 p.m. in 25 minutes. I'm going live.
y'all. I tried to get on it. I tried to get on it. I couldn't get on. I couldn't. So I'm gonna have to wait now for her to do another one. I think she's gonna do one each week. So now I'm gonna have to wait till next week and then I'm gonna get on. I was on it. I could hear them talking, but I couldn't engage. So I just listened. Okay. But anyway, that it was great, y'all. It was great. It was organized. People was talking. Man, it was great from what I heard.
On Spoutable. What is Spoutable? It's like a safer, better, more ethical Twitter. Forget all that.
I
Here's what
like.
you need to know. The link is in the description box and the link is going to be pinned in the chat. Okay, click on the link. You guys can come and listen if you guys want. However, if you do get an account, it only takes a second to sign up. You will be able to chat with me. Think of Spoutables. It's a pod. It's kind of like Twitter Spaces. It's exactly like Twitter Spaces, but more safe. We were going to be talking. You could ask me everything about it. Went down today. Today was a huge day in the Diddy trial. You can ask me everything that went down. You can ask me how people were acting, what was going on. We can have discussions. It can be a town hall. I think like literally so many people can come into the
They
pod.
like 100
It's good.
in there.
But let me tell
Well, it
you a
was,
little bit, right?
well, it was 600 when I had to come off, but the numbers were moving just like in the chat. Like however many viewers you got, that's the way it was. It was, and it was organized. It was straight. I loved it. Couldn't get in, but I loved it.
Exactly. Let's talk about it, right? Listen, again, Brendan Paul is going to be testifying next week. The exact day he is going to be testifying is hold on. I took so many notes. Gosh. Testifying on Monday as Diddy's assistant.
Mhm.
They said that Brendan Paul is in the employment, right? Now, here's the thing. Diddy's team tried to get his testimony struck and saying he shouldn't be allowed to testify, and any messages from Brendan Paul shouldn't be included in the summary chart. The government is making the summary chart. We're going to talk about that in a second because that's really, really good to all these people saying, well, I don't believe Mia. I don't believe Jane. I don't believe Cassie. That's what happened. Let me see if I can move this around a little bit. That's what happens with no, bad juju. That's what happens with the summary chart, okay? Now, he's testifying. The Diddy's team tried to get it thrown out and to be like, no, I don't think it's fair that he has the right to, welcome to my dirty room. I don't think he's fair. He doesn't have the right to say it because we don't know the nature of Brendan's employment. Well,
Shoot, Brendan, how long was Brendan with Diddy? 4 years or better. So he knows some stuff. He didn't have to take the rugs to different places. Remember when they first called him, they was talking about him and what all he had to do and the places he had to take the stuff. And they no telling. And then even at his house, I had to make sure. KK said, make sure y'all always carry a what is a pouch and have all the rugs in it. Yeah, just in case. So you can just pass it to him to Diddy. Yeah.
according to Little Rod, Brendan's employment was as Diddy's rug mule. You know what the funny thing about this is, right? Diddy should have just paid Little Rod his 50K because he did not pay Little Rod his money. Little Rod's lawsuit looks like it was the basis for his house getting raided. And once his house got raided, everything else went down, down, down. The smartest thing Diddy ever did was hire Mark Agnifilio, Yana, to speed
Mm.
track the trial because the feds were planning to investigate his mo, from
So
what the streets are saying,
what?
for 2 to 3 years. The feds were planning to investigate him for a lot, get into international stuff. However, since
Y'all know, speaking of international, y'all know Diddy was over there in the UK at one of them darn orphanages. It starts with a K. You know I can't pronounce the name. You no, it's KRUDZO. Stuff like that. But it was an orphanage. And he was trying to get a little boy. I know y'all seen it somewhere. He was gonna go ahead. He was like, the little boy was polite, had to show him around. He said, "Oh, I'd like to take you home. I'm gonna take you home with me." But the little boy, he didn't want to go without his sisters. And Diddy was like, "Nope, nope." He just wanted to take the little boy. So something happened and it didn't work out. So yeah, I wonder how many more places, 'cause, people been going looking, to get the children. Oprah, I ain't gonna never forget you, girl. Where them children at? All right.
Diddy rushed the trial to May, and they had to have, I think, the enterprise letter by, I think, like February 15th or the February 27th. That shortened what they could investigate, but they still said we went with the crimes that we know, and you've committed a lot of crimes, okay? You guys, also 7 p.m. tonight, I pinned it in the chat. Join me on Spoutable. I'll be doing a live Q&A podcast, and of course, I will give you guys an ample opportunity. Even though he settled 24 hours later, that got Diddy on the Southern District of New York's radar.
Sorry.
Little Rod's radar. Cassie and that Douglas Wigler, even though he settled maybe California, but the Southern District of New York didn't have Diddy on their radar until that Little Rod lawsuit and until that Cassie lawsuit. That's when Diddy got on the radar. Cassie and that Douglas Wigler, even though he settled 24 hours later, that got Diddy on the Southern District of New York's radar. Little Rod's lawsuit got, in my opinion, got that search warrant rolling. All those people that think that Diddy might have offered Mia about Urbana about $1 million or more to settle, saying, oh, sometimes it's cheaper just to settle with people, you're forgetting the fact that Diddy is notoriously cheap. So cheap that he actually got his own self investigated, all because. So again, Brendan Paul, if you guys don't know who Brendan Paul was the man in Little Rod's lawsuit that he said that, he's Diddy's rug mule. And he said that KK was his co-conspirator, right? Diddy's team said that's all lies. You can't believe Little Rod. He just be capping it up. However, when they raided him, they actually found Brendan with Diddy with the happy sack. Diddy love a pouch and he love a happy sack with a.
They was getting ready to get on the darn plane. They was getting ready to get on that plane, and that's when they took Diddy's phones and all of that, like right there. And they had that picture of Diddy in Florida, when Miami, Florida, walking, pacing, because they had Brendan inside talking. So Diddy was outside pacing. Because they took Brendan because he had all the rugs on him, right? Yeah.
Happy sack full of rugs, right?
Yeah.
A happy sack full of rugs. And that's how they got it. Now, when Brendan Paul was released, I said, that boy flipped. Y'all were like, you don't understand, if it's your first offense. And I said, y'all must be crazy. You don't know the way the feds work. The feds will lock up your grandmother if they can, if it will make you talk. The fact that this man, right? The fact that this kid from this good Midwest family, right? His family actually has some money. He met Brendan Paul when he was a basketball player. Brendan Paul wanted to be a producer. He turned into Diddy's rug mule, setting up free calls for him and whatnot. Brendan Paul knows where all the bodies are buried.
I'm telling y'all, Brendan Paul been with Diddy for years. Years. I know he knows some stuff. That's why Diddy and them fighting the defense fight. Uh, they don't want Brendan testifying to anything. I keep thinking somebody writing me or something. But yeah, they don't want Brendan saying nothing cause he young, and ain't no telling what he done told them. And you shoot, when you ain't never been, in jail or prison or something, shoot, you gonna be scared to, yeah, like I would be. Man, no. I bet Brendan told everything from his first turn. Hey, my name is Brendan. You know. Oh, and I'm Diddy. Did you like to be my drug mule? Anyway, y'all, let's carry on.
And they have all the text messages. Okay, they're also getting into summary charts. All right, now this is something we need to pay
Oh
attention to.
God, yeah.
Abraham Robertson, TISA, you're working your butt off, keeping us updated. You deserve
So
all the success and the growth. Thank y'all. Also, Zandria Robertson. Yeah. Said, is Easter egg still the code word? No, it's going to be a different code word, all right? Jules said, thanks for all your hard work. Appreciate you, Tisa. Also, Live Your Truth said, thanks for all the updates. You're doing a great job. Thank you so much. Katrinka Payne said, AKA Grace's grandmother. Yay, you caught a live. Also, Chaos Forever said, to be honest, most of you, I'll stop it, Chaos Forever. Thank y'all so much. Okay, so
forever.
Brendan Paul was a part of Little Rod's lawsuit. We get the fact that, again, the funny thing is, if Brendan Paul is testifying for the government, and again, so they did the summary charts. What took so long while we were waiting to see what the judge did with the sixth juror? And we'll talk about that in the Spoutable Pod. The link is there. Join me. We are going to have a live town hall discussion a la Twitter Spaces,
yeah.
right? It's going to be at 7 p.m. I'm leaving here exactly and then going over to Spoutable so you guys can talk back to me, right? You don't got to show your.
And I missed it, but I got to listen. It's worth it, y'all. It's worth it. I mean, she had a co-host too, so it was worth it. They was answering all these questions. I could not get in it.
Your face, it's all going to be. Also, right? Hold on. Do I have power? What's going on with my phone? Oh, okay. So anyway, right? The whole point of the matter is the reason I stayed so long is because they were doing exhibits for the summary chart. Now, this was actually very important, okay? The exhibits for the summary chart is something big. I think it actually might even be bigger than whether juror number 6 is struck, right? Because the summary chart ties everything together. I just thought it was linking hotel records to this and that, but it goes further. They're taking people's text messages that they got from the raid, D-Rocks, KKs, everybody's messages that they got in the raid from Diddy's phones and from the subpoena phones. And they're matching that up to not only timeline, but testimony.
Yeah.
So when everybody was like, oh, Mia's a liar, but Mia said that she got a message from D-Rock and she threw the phone and she was so scared. And then Diddy reached out and then this and that. Not only do you have the messages tied to, this is where Mia testified to this. Here's the message from D-Rock. Here's what Mia testified. Here's the other message to D-Rock. Here's when she said that Diddy called her. Here's the other message tying it to this moment in the testimony. But
ooh, they gonna tie all them text messages like doing a puzzle. Y'all know what they talking about. Like, and then when Cassie said that she texts KK, right? KK texts her back. They gonna put everything in a timeline, all them text messages. Watch. Boy, that's gonna. I know they hot. I know that's why they fussing. I know they struggling this weekend trying to figure out what's gonna happen.
it goes more because the summary chart actually shows, and guess what? Here's what was happening in the background. Why D-Rock was reaching out to Mia, and Mia was like, I knew this was Diddy trying to reach out to me. Guess what? they have the messages from D-Rock to Diddy being like, yo, I reached out. Yo, she ain't hit me back. Yo, what you want me to say? They had Diddy on the side texting her in between. So it'd be like, D-Rock texts Mia. D-Rock connects with Mia. And then it shows what's happening in the background. Diddy contacts D-Rock. Diddy tells D-Rock that says this to Mia. Diddy tells this and that. D-Rock's like, y'all, man, she not answering. All right, I'm going to reach out to her. It shows where all the people were testifying, what was going in the background, but it also proves to Rico that Diddy is the alleged mastermind. Because no matter who was talking to Cassie, who was talking to Jane, who was talking to Mia, who was talking to Capricorn Clark, who was orchestrating things with Kid Cudi, who was talking to who else? Who said the Brown Owl? Who else in that? No matter what was going on, Diddy was orchestrating everything and telling everyone what to say, what to do, whether Cassie could go walk, whether Jane could do this. Again, this summary chart is going to show the way. Here's all the actions. Here's what the witnesses said, and here's how Diddy was orchestrated. Oh,
Thank you. Show is. And yeah. The defense, they don't start this week, they start the next week. The prosecution, this is their summary week. You know. That's why Brendan, who's been flipped, that's why he testifying Monday for the prosecution. So the defense starts not next week, but the week after that. Okay, Gabby. Hey, Gabby, Janice. Thank you for coming over. I appreciate it. Let me see your name. Right. All right. Let me see. Make sure I can't see. Yeah. The defense starts another. Hey, Gabby. Oh, I remember you. Hey, welcome back. Thank you for coming back. Now, watch me mess up. You to make me nervous. Okay, y'all, let's go.
sorry. Here's how Diddy was orchestrating it. Okay, I would have gone live from the courthouse. However, they shut that courthouse down at 6 o'clock, and I stayed to the very end to get you guys a tea. I know you could have read it on the
Girl, you better be glad because ain't they still having them riots down there?
tweet. But baby, aren't you glad you actually have my thing, right?
I'm glad you
Again, there was so much that was going on. Also, we're going to have to talk about juror number 6. Did you guys hear the reason why he's being excluded? If you don't, I'm going to give you all the dramatic reinterpretation, right? Also, Judge Aaron literally looked at Brian Still. Brian Still tried to bring that Fulton County nonsense into the Southern District of New York court. Brian Still tried to stand there and make a thing about the court's been known about this. They've been known about juror 6. They've been known this. Brian Still stood up and did this whole grandstand about this is nothing new. Interesting enough, he's like, and now that there's always talk about jurors nodding or smiling or talking or being sympathetic, now all of a sudden they want to make an issue of it. Judge Aaron literally looked at Brian Still and said, what? He looked at Brian Still and said, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? No one knew about this, right? No one knew about this, okay? Again, I literally put lol, Brian Still, here's where we go, right? Brian Still was like, Your Honor, hold on. He said, Your Honor, after weeks of trial, we're like, what, on the 6th week of trial? After weeks of trial, and a voir dire that we were very intensive for, right? And now that we see all this talk about, now that we see all this talk about jurors making faces and body language and all this stuff, and I said, it's interesting the defense sees that. The defense must think juror number 6 is aware, right? Listen, and all this stuff. Now all of a sudden there's a problem with juror number 6. Your Honor, I think people are trying to game the system. Look, Your Honor, everybody knew about this. Everybody knew about this with juror number 6. And now y'all pick a now when we're more than halfway through to make an issue. It seems like this is how people game the system, right? I feel like people saying, and the public's gonna say, why are they doing this now? Why are you bringing juror number 6 up now? Why now? Listen, the whole time he was talking, I even saw Tina Garris go shaking her head, like, right? Judge Aaron looked at Brian Stalter. He did this whole Young Thug YSL grandstand. And I get it. It worked in Fulton County because Fulton County had so much corruption. They were just so improper. It worked for Fulton County. But Judge Aaron is running a tight ship that is above reproach. Judge Aaron looked at them and said, what are you talking about? He literally was like, it was like a 12-second pause. What are you talking? He's like, what are you talking about? I literally put lol, right? What are you talking about? He said, I don't know about the defense and what you guys knew, but the court just found out about this.
Exactly.
And the court found out about it by accident off of a throwaway that the juror number 6 said to somebody in the robing room. The robing room is the room that the jury waits in while they're waiting to be seated and called into court. He said, listen, he's like, the explanation, he said, even when you talk about like, oh, we've known about this since voir dire, even when we asked juror number 6, what is your explanation? What say you? The explanation happened after voir dire. So how can you say the court knew? Again, it was very, very serious issues. And that
damn juror got back in that room. You know how when you didn't spend all this time with these people and then you get in the room, you going to say something. You done said something slick and got caught. Didn't know somebody was watching them. Okay, a human was watching them since ain't no cameras, but he didn't got freely with his words, and he couldn't get them darn addresses, the baby mamas and aunties, and all couldn't get it together. But he could get it together with what up, Diddy? In my opinion, y'all.
Would have been, had he been telling the truth or knew what he was talking about, that would have been motion for a mistrial. But unfortunately, he did not know what he was talking about. He did not, or whatever, and it just moved on, right? They said that the jury, right? Oh, also, interesting enough, Justin was sitting there, and maybe he was stretching, but Justin Combs was sitting there with his arms spread out, and on both sides, his fists were balled up, and he was squeezing them to the point of his knuckles, where like his hands were stretched out, and he was leaning over the what do you call it? Where the he was leaning over where the where we're sitting in the benches in the gallery, right? And his hands were outstretched, but they were balled up while the judge was talking about dismissing the juror, and they were turning bright pink. It was the oddest thing, right? Anyway, I will say this, right? Tinny Garagos and the government, Tinny Garagos and the government stood up and was like, Your Honor, first the U.S. attorney was like, we just want to go on record that we knew nothing about. Listen,
I know that.
We knew. Listen, I don't know if Justin was rage or not, but I was sitting one row. Well, one row. There was one row in between us. I saw what I saw. Now, he could have been stretching over the things, but he was stretched out looking at the judge, and his knuckles, he was squeezing his hands so tight, his knuckles were turning red on either side.
If TISA says she saw something, she saw it. Just like when Diddy looked back and mouthed something, okay? If she says she straight up saw it, she saw it. Just like with Kanye West today. Yeah, she says she saw it. I absolutely 100% believe it.
Maybe it was anxiety. Maybe it's the anticipation. Again, this is their dad's life. I'm telling y'all what I saw, though. All right? I'm telling y'all what I've seen, right? And you listen. So anyway, the government stood up, and they was like, the government stood up, and they were like, yo, excuse me, I just want to go on the record. Whatever Brian Still's talking about, we don't know anything about that. We didn't know. We're just finding out for the first time. The odd thing was Tinny Garrigo stood up and was like, Your Honor, that goes double for the defense. We have not heard, and this is our first time hearing about it.
Dang,
After that, Brian Still got banished. So there's two rows of lawyers. There's a row of lawyers in front of Diddy. This is all defense. And then there's rows of lawyers behind Diddy. Brian Still has been sitting by Diddy's side the whole trial. Brian Still got moved. Diddy told him to go sit in front of him. Brian Still just stayed quiet for the rest of the time, sitting in front of Diddy. Now let's talk about why the juror got removed, okay? Listen, this is why. Well, here's the thing. The judge says Xavier Donaldson, who's an excellent attorney, made a very impassioned, I will say, Westmoreland, Xavier Donaldson, and Brian Still, well, not Brian Still today, but usually they are doing a bang-up job. Mark Agnifilio actually got on the ones and twos, too, and stopped that whole, oh, golly shuck. You know, Yana, he got on the ones and twos and actually was pushing back, too. And Tinny Garrigos, listen, they said that, so here's what happened. He said he looked at the transcript in the voir dire, and also in the juror department. And he said, he said, first of all, the implication that this is brought forth by the government is just insulting. What actually happened was it was an offhanded convo in the jury department, right? And they just asked, they were talking about something, I don't know, Jersey. And juror number 6 said, yo, I recently moved to New Jersey. I moved in with my girlfriend.
See?
That's where I'm staying for the last couple of weeks. Now, I know something like this happened in the Young Thug trial, the YSL trial, but we're not even 6 weeks in. You didn't know you was moving to Jersey, but get this. He said, that's where I've been staying for the last couple of weeks. I'm staying there most of the time. I'm not sure how long I'm going to stay there, right? However, right? Mm-hmm. This is what said while the jurors were like waiting outside in the hallway. Okay, so then get this: the court called the juror in, and they asked him. They called him privately. Are you still staying in Jersey? No, are you still staying in New York? He said to the court, well, yeah, Monday through Friday I stay in New York City. I've been working in New York City, right? Then they asked the juror, well, does your child live in a New Jersey apartment? He said, no, they don't. They live in New York with me. Now, they said on voir dire, they asked that man, who do you live with? He said, I live with my aunt in the Bronx in an apartment with my girlfriend and my child, okay? So then he told the person in the jury department a throwaway comment, yo, I live out in Jersey with my girlfriend and my fiance. Now I said, spoiler alert, what if he got a girlfriend and a fiance and they both got a baby? Spoiler alert, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
But then when he was questioned, because the thing is, it's not about whether he moved. It's not really about his residence. It's the fact that you must be not only honest, but completely forthcoming with the judge.
Yeah, because we went over all this, like the question they're going to ask, and you got to be completely honest about everything, because they will be investigating, they will catch you, and they just caught that. I mean, your address, and I know you had to show ID.
And I'm sorry, during voir dire, they said I was talking to Bernard from Burden of Proof on ABC. Y'all probably know her. Make sure you go catch her out. She is a brilliant former prosecutor. She said that the two main questions that they asked are your residency and whether you have a criminal record. And they expect you to be 100% proactive, even over-explaining, right? Now, they then said that, he then said, no, my girlfriend has an apartment in New Jersey where the daughter lives, and I've been visiting them, right? So they said that there's 3 different answers between the voir dire, the roaming room, and where you live in the Bronx, and who you live with, whether you live with your fiance and baby, right? And if you even live in the apartment with your aunt, or if you live in New Jersey with your daughter and fiance, right? They said there's the voir dire issue and the robing room issue, right? And where there's some suggestion that 1, the juror can't follow simple instructions, or 2, that in the voir dire process, there are serious questions about candor. Then when there are alternates, the juror has to be removed. Hold on really quick. Let me just get to these super chats.
How in the heck is he going to like when they go to the room where they deliberating and all that stuff, if he can't tell the truth about where he live and who he live with, how he gonna do, you know, no. Yeah, we need, yeah, like the judge told him, don't even come back. Don't come back Monday. Judge told him that straight up. And I think that's
That's
it, y'all.
really quick. Let me just get to a commercial message really quick, and then we will continue with all.
Okay, I think that's it because I saw it. All right, I want to thank y'all for coming over here to visit Valentine TV. I appreciate it. And as you come or leave, please hit that subscribe button. And if you like just a little bit of the content, please hit that like button. All right. Thank y'all. All right. Good night. Good night, y'all.